Hello. Everybody hear me? Is this audio working okay? What's got going on over here? Emily. Hello from Toronto. Hello, Emily. I'm in Toronto too. Hey, Fred. Hey, Monica. Andrew, thank you for moderating in the blue font. I see Lily there too. Good to see Lily. All the people signing in. Very good to be here. So welcome to the Do Nothing Project for Sunday, March 28th. Almost to April. Thank God. Just white knuckling it here through the final few months. What hopefully will be the final few months of the pandemic, or this wave of it anyway. We're still in lockdown in Toronto. It's there's been a little bit of lightning, but the new variants are going crazy. So it's like a third wave. And but at the same time, lots of people are getting vaccinated. So, you know, the ongoing drama of our time. So I was thinking, well, first of all, if you've never been to the Do Nothing Project before, welcome. It's good to have you here, and welcome to all the regulars, all the my friends who check in here every week. It's just amazing how this community is growing. I feel very lucky to be part of it. If you've never been here before, just in terms of a rough itinerary, first of all, you don't have to do anything. It's super low stakes. If you got your own version of doing nothing, you can do that, or you can follow along with my loose guidance. Really, it's about the community. It's about kind of a place that normalizes this weird thing of sitting and meditating and / doing nothing. And the structure is, I might just say a few words about a theme that we're going to explore, which I will do in a moment, and then it's a 25-minute sit, and then at the end, kind of depending on how I feel, I might stick around for 5 or 10 minutes, or people share reports over in the comment section, and if you have a question, you can ask that, and the community sort of responds, and I may respond. I don't see all the comments because they're going by pretty fast, but yeah, that's the basic situation, and the bar is very low, so you don't have to make any comments, you don't have to say anything, you can just enjoy existing here for the duration of our practice. And in fact, that is sort of the theme of what I wanted to talk about tonight, very briefly. I was kind of I've been working on this new meditation for calm, and we're calling it How Meditation Changes You. And I've been sort of trying to write a practice that speaks a little bit to that, and kind of, I want to try to, in this guidance, kind of point to that in the guidance itself, to give you an experience in real time of how that changed, what that kind of looks like. But of course, I've been thinking about how do I articulate what that change is, and I guess the thing every meditator comes up against at some point or another is getting attached to state changes. And this happened to me a lot in the early days of meditation, and like when I was really doing it the most, when I would go to these long retreats, and I would, my mind would get really quiet, and I'd go into this amazing, there'd be an up and down arc through the retreat, but I'd often leave these retreats just feeling very peaceful, very still, I could feel my own being in a really strong way, very spacious. And I'd go home, and like something would happen, and it was like this little blip would come up and go down. I'd be like, no problem. I felt like any conditioning could come up, and as like I was bigger. But then it would start to fade after a few days. Always would fade. It didn't matter what kind of mind-blowing insights I had on the retreat, which would happen all the time. It's sort of like, that's where retreats are for. Inevitably, I would come back to my wretched life, which was also awesome, but the hardness of it. And yet, over the years, there's no question the practice has changed me. And so it's like, well, if all states come and go, and that's sort of what we're going to realize, there's no perfect, beautiful state is going to stick around. It's always moving on. The flow of life is continually changing. So given that, and given how much you recognize that, then what does stay? And I think it's kind of a couple things. If I had to try to articulate it, one part of it is what stays are the understandings. It's like there are certain understandings that become very clear when you meditate, and indeed in life, if you're paying attention, that you just start to know. I want to say you start to know they're true. What I, and but I don't want to make that sound like some kind of claim about objective reality. It's more like you start to know that believing them and having confidence and trusting them is a healthier way to be, is a better way to be in life. And so some of those understandings, they're all very simple. They're all like things your grandma could have told you, but now you start to really trust or live. So you start to really know that, and you start to really experience that, yeah, things come and go, and that things that are different, how things are now will be different later. And there's a kind of perspective in that you just start to feel and like, oh yeah, okay. And by the way, as I'm saying this, I would love people to share their thoughts about what they think of how meditation has changed them. Because I mean, of course, the part of the punchline is it does make you more relaxed, more present, more easygoing, more loving, and so that we can talk about that. But it's why becomes like that, and that's what I'm trying to get at. So why it becomes like that. So partly it's these understandings of things coming and going. This understandings of if you're fighting all the time, you're just creating more suffering. So that getting wiser about choosing your battles, knowing that it's possible to kind of, oh yeah, you can kind of notice your thoughts and kind of disidentify a bit, and just that little knowing that's possible is so huge, because you don't take things as personally. And of course, there's knowing that you're not in this alone. You start to really see that everyone's they're going through the same kinds of ups and downs, challenges in life, and you just don't take. You start to know that's true, and so you don't go as much into your inward spiral of the loneliness or the feeling of the isolationness. Like just that understanding that there's this connection, this humanistic kind of connection is really starts to become more available. And so it's sort of like, so you're walking around, you're still in your hard times and your good times, and yet you have these slightly different understandings that you have confidence in, and that having confidence in those has this feedback effect in your life. It's what leads to just being in general more peaceful and less involved in these intensities, or knowing how to work with them. And then I was thinking, well, is that really everything? And I was like, no, not quite, because that's all true, but there's something else, and this is where I get to kind of be a little bit, try to be like a little. I love trying to articulate the more mystical shit, and I guess what I would say is it's like there's this feeling, and I would love to hear other people like how they experience this, but there's a kind of feeling of 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 letting the trust carry you. It's like you're letting life, your own being, carry you in this way. And that's this thing I think that is the most interesting. It's like, there's this basic trust that, first of all, life is sort of the logic of life unfolding has an intelligence to it. And just being in that trust is really interesting. It's not like it just makes you feel more connected to everything. It feels like I don't want to say there's a reason for everything, but it's more like everything internally happens because of cause and effects. And so you're not fighting with that flow as much, although you still know when to, try to make a change. So there's this trust, but then it gets even more interesting. It's sort of like the more still you get, the more present you are, the more you're totally present and open to life, the more it feels like your own being is like carrying you deeper into it. And that's the part that you can't even articulate with words. It's like you becoming more real. You're like landing more and more in life, and it's like growing around you. The feeling of noticing the details and of what's here, and like your own feeling of being is growing. And so I guess I know, yeah, you could say it's like you're relating less from your ego and from your ideas of things. You're more in just the being experience of things. But it gets really cool. Um, I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier, this buddy of mine, Toby, who runs Bright Mind, who's an awesome guy. That's a great app. It's a great meditation app. That's sort of Shinzen's meditation app, where he's taken a lot of his ideas and meditations and put them into this whole structure of the app. And he was describing, I was like, how would you describe how meditations change you? And he's got a lot of physical challenges. He's a young guy, but he's got like physical pain, a lot of chronic pain he deals with. He can't use his legs as much. And yet for him, it just feels like, he says it's like this feeling of fizzy effervescence. Like life is sort of just flowing through him. And he's just kind of like feeling, he just feels electrically alive inside it. And like he's on coke or something is how he described it, which is very funny for a meditator. And I know what he's talking about. It's that sense of just being so present, like the being present, it becomes a kind of massage. So anyway, that's a whole bunch of words. And most of it probably just sounded like gibberish. But, as always, for me, I'm curious what other people, if other people want to share how they would kind of describe it. And maybe we can touch in on it at the end. But what's going to get interesting here is I want to try to guide a practice around what I just said. A practice that's about letting the trust carry you. A practice that's about it's like so still with the flow of life that it's like you're disappearing. And yet, the more still you are, you're also becoming more real. So this paradox. So let's see what happens. It might be the worst guided meditation of all time. One of the most ambitious, though. Of course, you can just sit on your back and close your eyes and do absolutely nothing if you prefer. In fact, you probably should do that. So, what time is it? 8:15. God, I blabbed way too much. So 25 minutes. 8:40 Eastern Standard Time is when this meditation will finish. Let's do it. And by let's do it, I mean let's not do it. Nice, Amy. Okay, so I'm all worked up, so definitely need these few breaths here. So as you breathe in, stretch up the spine, and then nice long out breaths. The out breath is where you can imagine you're breathing out any of that go-go do-do energy. As you breathe out, you can soften the worry lines of the forehead. And soften the cheeks and the jaw. And the shoulders. It's like with every exhale, you're noticing your own presence a little more. You're coming into the present a little more. You're feeling yourself on the ground, feeling your body, the here-ness of it. And the little orientation that's so helpful here is this piece around the equanimity, which is this choice that we make to not fight with experience, to not push and pull on it. Meaning, whatever sounds you're hearing in your environment right now, for me, the streetcar going by, the wind outside, of course, my voice too, are all allowed to be here. Just let them wash through you, the sounds. It's like you're so open that they don't touch anything. They just go right through. They float through. No bracing, And it's the same with the upwelling inside you. Whatever little tingles of sensation in the body itself, it's like they're a little slower than the sounds, maybe, but they're drifting slowly forward too. And you're going to let them just move on their own timeline, sometimes flowing, sometimes static. It's true of the feeling of the breath. Rising and falling, flowing through you. And it's also true of feelings, thoughts. There's a kind of tender throb in the emotional body that it kind of changes, gets more intense and less, and then it gets peaceful, and then it comes back. And the thoughts too, getting more active and more quiet and popping up again, the images. All this is the flow of life. And you're its witness right now. So just let it flow. So you can work with the home base if you like, just kind of lightly paying attention to the breath, say, or some drone sound around you, like a vent or a body sensation, just in a light way. If you like, it can be kind of settling to have that. But the image I want you to have in your mind, that's sort of our main instruction, is it's like you're just this open space and life is flowing through you. It's like a river, and someone just put an empty frame of a painting and just placed it down on onto the river, and of course the river just flows right through it. Near that still open space, your awareness is a kind of structure, but what it's framing is constantly changing. So how loose and open can you be in your body and in your mind? And try this for a bit. Good. So you're just sitting and you're practicing, seeing how totally loose and open you can be in your body, but you're absolutely present. You're aware, and just seeing how still you can get. Not rigid, but just still so you can detect the subtlest changes and flows in the sounds and the feelings. And you can use a home base so you're kind of with one strand of that flow or feeling, or you can just be backed up into a more open awareness practice where you're just being. And it's like everything is flowing through you. And there's lots of thoughts, just let them flow too. See, you can kind of pop out of them. You get lost inside them and come back to this open container of being. It's like we get a little bit ahead of ourselves, start to drift off, kind of wake up, back up into the present. How completely still and open and present can you be? And there's a feeling of being so open. This, it's like your own being is sort of vibrating. Can you feel that? Like it's moving forward and your stillness is moving back or down. It doesn't make any sense. Just do the experiment. It's like life is sort of emptying itself out through you. And you're absolutely trusting of that flow, letting it carry you. And it's like you're so open, all the content of reality is just flowing through you and you're sort of disappearing. And yet you're becoming more real, more awake, more present. It's like the vertical drop of the present. It's like, can you be so open? It's like you don't even know who you are anymore. Like that just flows away too. Dropping down into a body, being a body. And so just we're practicing being, I guess, in a way, just absolutely present and still and aware. And we're letting life update itself through us and around us. And from this still point, we can start our little, the little gratitude practice here at the end. And as I just start by saying thank you, and sort of repeating thank you. You don't have to know what it is you're thanking. But then it starts to connect to things, like maybe it starts general, like you're thanking life, even the hard parts. And you're thanking people, whoever comes to mind. Thanking the sound of the wind and the wind chimes. Whatever you're noticing in your environment. And it's like the more completely still and present we are with our thanks, the more it radiates out. And we can imagine it going backwards through time, thanking your ancestors, old mentors, grandparents. And it's radiating forward, thanking the people in your life now, thanking future generations. Just playing with it. What do you feel like connecting your thanks to? What spontaneously emerges? It doesn't have to be so abstract too. You can thank your body, thank your home, thank this community, your peers. Thank you. Humanity's bow. Cashew, meditation's taught me to have more patience and to let the little things go. Absolutely. Thank you. Becca's got students coming into her classroom for the first time in a year. She needs this. Yeah, good luck tomorrow. Brooke saying practice feels like the best kind of reset. Emily liked the image of the open frame and the flowing river. Yeah, it used to be always how I guided. I did a lot. I used to guide that practice a lot. Just the open, just being an eddy. I used to call eddy in a stream. You're just being the eddy, and the eddy is a structure, but the river is always flowing through it. So it has this. It seems to be a thing. You look at an eddy, this swirl in the water or standing wave. It's this structure, but actually, the content is never the same. It's a cool image. I'm glad people like the meditation. Allison thanking the universe for showing up. And my takeaway for this was trusting the flow, and this session translated to trusting myself. And that, my friend, was remarkably liberating. Nice, dude. Jeff still jumps with the bell. It's okay, buddy. Nice, Sandy said. It reminded me of literally sitting in a chair in the middle of a stream, letting everything flow through me and downstream. It's awesome. Joe, first time sitting. Welcome. Rena liked the open frame. Nice to see you, Rena. Yeah, Nancy, the openness starts to feel like a familiar, safe place, like coming home. That's kind of what I'm trying to point to in my overly clear way. Oh, yeah, Andrew's saving he's got an eddy in the stream. If you like that meditation, a version of that we did back in the day. Melissa says she likes the open awareness when walking. Yeah, it's a great way to do it. It's like the world is passing. You can do this thing where you're walking, or it's like the world. It's sort of like when you stand on the subway train by the subway and it's moving. You don't know if you're moving or the subway's moving. You know what I mean? You can kind of do that when you're walking. Have this thing of just like the world's kind of going through you or something. Jennifer felt the effervescent flow through me tonight, merging the sounds. Sweet. Candace liked the guidance. Helped her let go of the struggle. Brooke's giving Rebecca some teaching props, support. Thank you, Brooke. Fuzzy gnome goodness, Kathy. Well said. Paula liked a comfortable place. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, Holly, the openness makes me feel more connected to everything. Know me, know you, know that. Yeah. Oh, someone's recovering. What's that? I missed that. I always miss the comments go by. Someone often says something really profound and important, and then I completely miss it. I'm just blabbing away. Everyone in the stream is comments or respond either. Anyway, I don't even know what that was. Whatever happened there, it was good. Oh yeah, Joanne's recovering from COVID. Helped. Nice. Jeff, Alexa, Jeff, when you made the sound, it was like energy spreading all over me, such the reaction of a nuclear bomb. Hopefully a good bomb. Yeah, so what I was pointing to there, what I was talking about is what, goes by different words, but I guess, and I've talked about it a lot here in this do nothing, but they call it purification. It's this idea of, I always like burning clean this way. What one practitioner I knew described it. It's basically like the more absolutely present, the more concentrated, clear, and open you are, the more present you are, the more there's a sense that all our holdings, all our hurts, our stuck places, it's like they start to move. They start to boil off. And that's why that's really the kind of trickle down effect from practice. So even though in practice you can work pattern by pattern, you can work with a pattern that's causing challenges, and you can open to your feelings around it and get curious about, how it works, and kind of work through something that way, and that more direct, and that's not direct, it's more just like a strand by strand way. That's a lot of work. It's necessary sometimes, but thing with meditation is in a far more general way. The more you just practice generally just being, it's more like everything gets worked through, whether it's conscious or not. Somehow it's just, there's a sense there's less coming between you and the world. And that's that's what starts to happen with practice, is the feeling of trusting in that. You start to know it's true. You feel it. You feel it. The more present and open you are, the better your life is getting, and the more the things that used to trip you up aren't tripping you up as much. And then there's a gratitude that this could even be possible, and more and more of a feeling of like, being connected to everything. So it's one way to talk about it. But so a lot of the comments I'm hearing here, or I hear people talk about, this is what they're starting to they taste, and it's like that from the very beginning of the first time you've ever meditated, through the most advanced meditator on the mountains of Nepal. It's the same continuum. The most enlightened human being on the planet, wherever she is, in whatever cave she's hanging out in, it's like she would find your experience, the absolute new meditator, and the way in which it's affecting, she would find that familiar. And you, in turn, there'd be something familiar about her experience to you. It's all one thing. So, that's, I guess, also part of it. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Anyway, missed a bunch of comments. Andrew's laying down all these good links. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, as always, if you are the nonprofit that I founded back in the day, my friend Aaron runs with my friend James, who started it way back. It's all about trying to connect communities to practice resources, and there's free stuff Monday night. I'm going to probably come tomorrow night and do it. So he sent a link to that. But if you ever want to donate, some people ask about donating, and they say, how can they do that? That would be where you could do that if you want to, because it's totally nonprofit, and all the money goes into trying to pay our executive director, who basically gets paid nothing. So that'd be awesome. Yeah, and there's some retreats and things coming up that are all, up there. Yeah. Yeah, Amy's saying, I love that there are far fewer variables in the equation than it seems. Yeah, totally. There's only one variable, reality. Yeah, nice, beautifully said, Brooke. Felt vibrations and humming through my body head, which felt like the natural movement of life. It's always there, but noticed it in stillness. Life feels like it's a seltzer. I totally know that feeling. Yeah, someone's saying at least about getting virtual CEC offerings going beyond the shelter at home time. I think we're trying to figure out how to. That's you can pretty much bet that that's going to happen. I was just talking to Aaron about that, but we're trying to figure out how to, you know, how to do that in a way that's probably so we still have the basically be able to include people from wherever they are. So you still have an in-person event, but there's a camera right in the middle of it all, so you're including everybody in that community, and then there's someone kind of looking at the comments, so to bring them in. So trying to figure out if anyone has ideas about how to do that, how to integrate live and virtual in a way that's really well done. I'd love to hear where people were doing that well or examples of that because we're trying to figure that out. Oh, and the other thing I want to mention is a few people have mentioned the terrible quality of my video. I think someone said it looked like it was being filmed through a potato, which I totally is so accurate. I know, I apologize. It's just my camera on my computer. And when I try to use a webcam, the fan just goes berserk on my computer. It gets so loud. So I know I need to get a new computer probably so that doesn't happen. But if anyone has any tech smart people knows solutions, like I was thinking of getting a digital camera that has a really good picture, but that you need to have a really fast processor to be able to do the uploading and in real time or something. Anyway, I'm not. We will get something figured out about that eventually. That's part of the do nothing charm. Well, seems clear to me, maybe because I'm fuzzy. All right, well, that was a good hangout, everybody. I kept you here long enough. Thank you. Sunday evening, my time, wherever you are in your time zones. Have a good night, and I will see you here next week. And I'll probably be at the CC tomorrow night. If you feel like, if you've never been to that before, 7:30. I forget who. I'm not sure who the teacher is tomorrow, but you know it's always good. Yeah. A ruthless crab likes to make film through a potato. Okay, good. Adios, friends. Oh yeah, I already did that. See, I'm losing it. I thought the ringing the bell would turn off the computer. I've been meditating too much. Brain melted.